are live, waiting for Cheryl LaRue. Hi, Rose. It's such a nice time to be with you in the day, my day, your night. We are here at TMS RoundTable. I am Dr. Tovah Goldfine. We're so sorry we're late. We're waiting for Cheryl. We're waiting to beam Cheryl up, but her frequency is so high that we can't seem to get her on the screen. So, Rose?
Hi, everyone. We're waiting for Cheryl, who's got a few difficulties signing in. So I just want to give you a little bit of an idea about Cheryl while we're waiting for her. She actually had costochondritis, and it really was debilitating for her. She was also a flight attendant and a photographer. And she's come on board actually to talk about what it's like to be a flight attendant and to have to allay the fears of passengers. She has some wonderful stories, absolutely wonderful stories to tell us. And also, she's also a wedding photographer prior to that. And also, she would like to share with us a little bit about how stressful it is for families that don't really get on very well when they all come together. And actually, Cheryl's fear of what's happening within the family groups. Now, with Cheryl's costochondritis, she actually oh, there she is.
Welcome.
She's on.
We're to a flying start.
We're in the air flying. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. Come closer. Wow, that was stressful, honey, but you know what? It's up to God. We're only so in control when it comes to this internet. Everything else we're in control of, but except what we are not in control of. Don't forget that.
Okay, come a bit closer.
Yeah.
Cheryl, come a bit closer to the camera.
Yeah, beautiful.
Excellent. Now, all you audience, this is Cheryl LaRue, an amazing lady who actually overcame her costochondritis and has now got a really strong understanding of where she's coming from, and she's able to understand what's happening within her psyche when she gets stressed. Thanks, Cheryl. Look, maybe for the beginning, would you just give us a bit of an overview about how you came to actually, do all the marvelous things you did? Now, I hope that everyone has seen the photo that we put on of she water skiing.
So also, okay, Cheryl, come into the middle of the screen. It's a more narrow screen than Zoom. Beautiful. I want to see your beautiful face.
I can't see Rose. I can see you, Tovah, but
okay, come this way a little bit. Come a little bit. Beautiful. Perfect.
Thanks, Jackie. I agree wholeheartedly.
She's my very best friend on the planet, female friend.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Good. Well, it's nice to have someone to back you up and
welcome.
to think that
welcome, Jackie.
And to think you're talking to the world. I mean, not only did you do that when you're on Jetstar, but now you're actually doing it on air. Now, will we start about your personal story, or will we start on how it was for you as a flight attendant? Because all of those stories are amazing.
They are all amazing. I'm
just about you
on either, but firstly, thank you for having me on the show. It's actually a pleasure to be here because you two ladies have been on this journey and are a big part of my journey. So it's really nice to connect with you on a different way of Zoom because I am healed. Thanks to you. So yes, well, we'll start with my journey first, and then I'll go into my flight attending.
Cheryl, can you talk a little bit louder, please?
Yeah, sure.
Or closer to the...
Beautiful.
Is that better? Yeah. So we'll start with my journey. So basically, TMS for me has, I actually didn't know they were TMS sensations, feelings, until I actually found out about TMS. But basically, I have been dealing with it all my life since I was 9. So basically, I always had constipation issues. I used to get a lot of warts, rashes on my inner thighs. I had an eating problem around the age of 12 or 13. When I started menstrual cycles at the age of 13. I had issues from day one, very heavy periods, very painful, that would last, oh my goodness, 10 days, have 5 days off and you'd be on again. I had back issues. I had problems feeling pregnant with my second child. I wasn't infertile, but just issues of imbalances. Back issues, knees. I couldn't walk for 4 months. I had really bad inflammation in my knees. Things then settled down. And then probably around 2018, whilst I was flying still, I had really bad coccyx pain, extremely bad. And then that seemed to be the start of the really strong messages. So they had been there all my life. And then all of a sudden it was like, we're here, you need to hear us. So that was the start of it. Then I had major sinus issues, really bad. I would get blood in my ears. Whilst I was flying, I was starting to get sick a lot with viruses, and I couldn't work out what was going wrong. My back pain started to come in, and then I was off work for a while with being chronically ill with sinus. I had to go and see ENT specialists, and basically, they wanted to basically drill in my nose and basically break it to make my eustachian tubes wider to pass fluid out.
Wow.
And they would fix my problem, but it would take another month or two to start flying. But I had gastro issues. I've had peptic ulcers in my life. I've had sliding hernia, which no longer is there. But I couldn't work out why. I couldn't connect the dots as to I was looping. And then
that's the big problem.
That's the big problem, is the loop. It was in and out, and I was constantly at the doctors, like going, my head, the dizziness, the vertigo, and then came the anxiety of I'm off work ill, and I kept giving them information as much as possible that I'll be back. It's a sinus issue. I don't know why. I blamed it on menopause. So I had hemochromatosis kick in at the same time as well, because I carry one genetic gene for it. And all my life, no issues. And all of a sudden my iron levels were.
Cheryl, I'm going to interrupt for 1 minute and just say this must have been so scary to feel like one thing after another.
Yes, one thing after another. And it was silent. It was like no one could see it, only with my sinus, obviously, because you'd have congestion. And you can see when someone's having chronic sinus issues, you can tell, but the rest was just hidden. And then it was scary, so much so my doctor called me in and she said, I know what you're like, because you're getting a lot of fear now with what's going on. And she said, you're going to have to go and give blood. That was fearful. Basically, I nearly passed out in the Red Cross Centre. They put heat pads on me because I had all this stuff happening. And then the real big nasty came, the costochondritis. Yeah. So for those people who are unaware what it is, it's a very, 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 it's got to be the nastiest. It is worse than childbirth. So 24/7, constant pain down through my chest, pressure, like a heart attack feeling. So you don't know that you're not having a heart attack. I had bursts of inflammation happening in my shoulders too at the same time. So all my intercostals, I ended up having inflammation in through my ribs. Tsetse syndrome, which basically is towards your shoulders here. So the cartilage up there also inflames. I had back pain. I had all down my side muscles. So it was like a corset. It was like someone had grabbed me and
squeezed you.
And squeezed, and it was relentless. It would not stop. It was just there, and it was just there. And because then the fear came, my gastro went through the roof. I was chronically sick all the time with stomach issues. The sinus was looping constantly
Did they have you on cortisone?
No, they put me on it. So each time I went to the doctors, she was like, flabbergasted as to what was going on, looking for stuff to give me. The only thing I took was Nexium for my stomach. I refused to take strong Panadols, strong anything. I went, no, there's something's not right here, something. But so she said to me, I was still off work at this point in time. She said, you need to, she thought that I had a skiing accident, because I said to her, look, I've got all this muscle tension happening. I was out on my ski boat. I tried to get up on the surfboard in a different way to what I normally do. So she said to me, my doctor of 20 years, this was the most scariest part, which inflamed my symptoms even worse. She turned around. Here I am. I'm off work, not knowing when I can go back to work. I don't know what's going on. You will never play sport again in your life, was her words to me. You can forget it. This was her arms. You can forget ever skiing, doing anything. You've ripped your muscles to shreds. I want you to go home. 8 weeks of doing absolutely nothing. I don't want you to put washing on the line, anything. I want you to just basically do nothing. And at that point in time, I can't describe. I think you could probably imagine being told, here I am home from my job. Now, water skiing is my passion. It's like I've always been a sporty person, and that's what you can tell me, that I'm never going to do that. So you don't know when I'm going to fly again. Now I can't be active as a person, as who I was. So I went home, I did that, and I said to the husband, I cannot do anything for 8 weeks. And I basically, the pain just increased, obviously, because my fear was just accelerating what was going on. Yeah.
Your fight and flight was on like all the time. Alarm, 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 inflammation. I mean, what happens is your body was protecting you, but of course you didn't know. So then skip a few. Then then basically you heard about John Sarno or something, or you met Rose. I think you met me. I forget. You go ahead.
Yeah. So what happened was I basically joined. She couldn't tell me what it was, and I went to a chiropractor. I started researching what I had, and I knew I had costochondritis, and I went to chiropractors. And then there was this chiropractor in New Zealand. He was actually a physio dude. He would get on the online site that we were on and say, because they found out I had old Sherman's disease in my back, which is when your vertebrae blocks actually, one was just like slightly bent a bit, but it was like that all my life, and I never had pain. But because I saw that on the MRI, guess what? All of a sudden I had pain there too, on that vertebrae block, on the T7, 8, and 9. So I went, okay. Then once I was on the online site, Steve August was his name. He said, you need to get a back pod, which is a little pod to put on your back. And he said, your back's frozen. I said, my back's frozen now. Okay, this is getting more and more interesting. So the pain just kept increasing and increasing. And I was on this online site. Someone put this book next to my name. There were no words. There was nothing. She just put this book, and it was the Mind Body Prescription by Dr. Sarno, next to my name. And I was at the point where I picked it up, because I'd done physio, chiros, you name it. I'd done it all. And I went, there's something about this book. And I started to read it, and I went, oh, he's written a book for me. This is me.
Dear Cheryl,
Dear
love
Cheryl,
Dr. Sarno.
People pleaser. You are this, you are that. And I went, this is me. And I remember just reading it. My pain lifted slightly.
Dropped.
And I told my husband, you won't believe this book. And he said, a book? I said, yes, a book. Then I put it down, because you start to go through that stage of belief. And I put it down a little bit, and the pain started to increase. And then one day I just looked inside. It was more of a feeling in me, and it didn't come from my mind this time. I went, I have suffered enough. And I picked that book back up, and I read the book, and I started watching your shows on the TMS site. and I must have watched them for, I think, at least a month. And then that's when the phone call went to Rose. And I remember going up the road so no one could hear me on the phone to her, to make it very private, obviously to get me to open up to her. And that's when I had the complimentary thing with you guys. And I just knew it was not coming from here. There was something intuitively in me saying, you know, I knew I'd suffered enough. I said, no more, no more.
Look, that's
greater
probably the key to actually, you know, saying enough is enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the fight for you started then.
The fight for you. The fight for you.
The fight for me.
As much as doctors love their patients and they take great care, they don't go the distance because it just was not, they were not told that's their job.
No.
Whereas, you know, it's in Rose and mine's job description. Go the distance, make sure the patient's ahead of you, walking in front of you saying, I want you to help me, because this is part of taking responsibility, which is what you did.
Well, yes, because it was funny because each chiropractor I went to and each physio I went to, I could hear them whisper from behind me going, you can see she's a very angry person. And I was, but my doctor, the last chiropractor I went to said, don't do this. I said, excuse me, because he could see I was in fight and flight mode. He said, we're trying, and then I questioned him about the vagus nerve and obviously the parasympathetic and all that being out of balance. But no one at no point had my doctor, the last time I saw her, I was in there and I just had fear in my face. At no point had she said to me, are you okay? Had she have said that, I would have broke down in tears and said, I'm not all right. So I was very grateful to find you two, because then finally someone heard, and I just knew it came from it. It's the strongest power. That's all I can say to anyone, because I know people question this method of Dr. Sarno's and believe it's never going to come from here. It's going to come from where it needs to come, because that's the bit that's screaming at me. It was knocking. My soul and my heart was knocking at the door, because the costochondritis, when I started to do all this work, and now that I've knitted or unwound all these layers, I've realized I froze. So you got fight, flight, freeze. The freeze was I didn't want to feel the pain anymore, the heartaches, the feelings. So I shut down.
But you know, Cheryl, you could say though that you didn't really know you had heartache. That's the other thing.
No.
See, that's the other weird thing about this, that in actual fact you've just got pain and you don't know you've got a heartache. And until you're asked, you know, what are your feelings? What do you think those feelings are? Yeah.
And without therapy, I wouldn't have known. You've pointed out, just you made me stop.
Yeah.
Because I would talk stuff and laugh, and it wasn't until you went, I think the very first session, I think with you, Rose, was you said, can you go back and cry now, because you saw my tears? And I was, and Tovah, during my sessions with Tovah, you would put that hand out and go, it's okay, you're human. And that's your inner child talking to you. So by pointing those things out to me, I knew it went deeper. This went beyond my present time of stuff that was happening. This was conditioning of things that happen now, from conditioning from what happened as a child, and how I conditioned my behaviors, my patterns.
You know, and also what Rose taught me, and obviously she taught you, is that we get permission to be angry with our parents, with our brothers, our sisters. We get permission to be angry with ourselves, but we have to understand how to channel that anger, not against us. And I think you were so angry with you because you were scared. And where was the self-love? Where was the compassion? Where was the acceptance that you're
suffering? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't know. I didn't know. And then as we started to obviously do the sessions and it all came out, I realized that I was suffering. I was suffering in my soul and my heart, to the point that I realized the day when the costochondritis started. I remember I was singing a song. I was on my way home. I felt my heart close. I felt the bang because I've actually felt it reopen through all of this journey. And when it reopens, it's the most beautiful feeling. But I
That's
felt it
awesome.
close. I was singing this sad song to myself, and it was about a heartbroken song. And I just remember the feeling. And then the Costochondritis started. It was almost like it was saying, this is the final knock on the door. You need to fix yourself. You need to go and find out why this is all affecting you. And it's been a 12-month journey till now, I think, with getting here.
Now, tell the audience, please. Tell them about how it is as a flight attendant. I love your stories. Cheryl has got so many amazing stories. You know, passengers, and they're called PAX, P-A-X, meaning peace in Latin, which I thought was quite interesting. The flight attendants refer to us, the passengers, as PAX. So tell us about how you had to create packs for some of these people. I mean, one of the lovely stories is about the mum who was having a panic attack, and the little girl, you spotted them as you were walking down the cabin. Can you share that story? Because that is just so beautiful.
It is a beautiful story. We were doing a return flight from Brisbane to Launceston and a Launceston return. And it was actually on the return flight. So it was, I think it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I was actually in control of the rear of the cabin, and she was sitting in the forward cabin. And it wasn't until we were seatbelts off in flight that I walked up through the cabin. And as I turned, I've noticed this lady on the left. She was completely frozen, white in the face, but she had an 8-year-old daughter with her who was trying to color in, and her daughter was that terrified and couldn't say anything, couldn't call anyone because she was frozen herself trying to draw, and she's looking at her mum with the most frightened look. And I looked at the mum and I bent down and I said to her, "You're not okay." She said, and she could hardly talk. She was on her way to what do they call that, where the muscles start to tighten. Because I'd been there myself, I knew I could identify it straight away. And she said, I can't, I don't like flights. I don't know what to do. This is my daughter. She mentioned her daughter and she couldn't breathe. So the first thing was I just knelt with her and I just said, "Don't talk. Let's just concentrate on your breathing here right now," because I needed her before she really started to go into hyperventilation, because that's an extremely horrible thing. You can't move at all. So her breathing came down. She said, I normally don't fly. I catch a bus that I had to get back home to Brisbane quickly, so I had to fly. She was not calming down at all. Her breathing was getting better. I knew at the time we just happened to have an international pilot on board the cabin on the plane that day. He was flying home, and I went down to him. I said, would you mind if I moved this lady next to you? I explained to him what it was, because it's a reassurance. You basically become their mother. When I looked at her, she looked younger than her child. Her child was 8, but the mother looked like she was 5 years old. So she needed reassuring. Basically, you have to mother them. So I moved her down with the pilot. At this point in time, she just couldn't even remember that she had her daughter there. Took her down, and he sat with her and talked to her, so much so, and we just got her a drink. She calmed right down. I brought her daughter down with her, and the daughter was okay then because she could see mum was going okay. And I think for her, she just figured the control if something went wrong, and the fear, the fact that she had a pilot sitting right next to her, if something was going to go wrong, he was going to fix it. You were it. You were going to fix the plane, and we are not going to crash, and we are not going to do all this stuff. Then towards the end of the flight, like I was going past asking her, I didn't even need to ask how she was going in the end because she was doing quite well. So when we come into land, we basically have to move passengers back to the section that they are. We have 3 sections because it's all weighted. So we moved her back up. I said, are you okay to go to the forward of the cabin? Otherwise, I will move someone so you can stay here. She said, no, I'm fine. She said, take me up there. I'm going to do this whole landing of the plane. And I took her back to her original seat with her daughter. And she just smiled the whole time. And the beauty was that we didn't embarrass her about her fear. We said it's okay to have that fear. We calmed her down with her breathing, acknowledged her as a person, sorted out a way to help her through that fear, was through the pilot, just talking to her the whole flight. And then she was, so much so she was able to calmly move to the forward cabin and get through that landing and hop off the plane with not a problem. And that was beautiful because
so what's interesting, Cheryl, I'm going to interrupt you, forgive me.
Yeah.
Is that you have no fear of flying. You're like helping all these people handle their fears. You get up on water skis, which you couldn't pay me $1,000. Well, maybe if you paid me. I get up on water skis, one leg, and you get pulled by the boat, fearless. And yet, when it comes to like knowing your feelings, it's like, I don't want it. So explain that to some of the listeners about how it is scary feelings and it's not rational, and how you're able to understand that you're a very brave person, but this is where no one taught you as a child how to be brave with your
with your feelings.
Yeah. Inner feelings. That would you believe I was actually I hated flying. I had a fear of flying. The first time I actually went on an aeroplane to Perth, I was by myself. I was 19 years old and I was sat down next to he was a businessman, so he was a frequent flyer. And when we came to take off, we were taking off. I didn't realize until we actually got to about 35,000 feet and we're cruising. He said, excuse me, but he said, can I have my hand back now? I'm really
commercial. It's like a commercial.
I had just grabbed the edge of the seat and said, and that was it. So much so I forgot that I was squeezing his hand because I was terrified of this plane. And then the next minute, this is how fast they went and you're up in the air. So I've used that story many times to calm down other people on the plane, but to come with your own fear, and that was and emotions and all that is basically learning how to let it in, to really let it in, not here, to let it in here, because here won't fix it, is to let it in and let it be. Then the let go came. So,
but what fascinated me about your story is, in actual fact, that this part of you that's working is in full charge. But when you step off the plane, you go back to being fragile. Would that make sense?
Yeah. It does, because you go in this, it's like the adrenaline kicks in, because at that point in time, some crew members are not very good at dealing with certain situations. So sometimes the younger ones in that situation I handled, some would walk past it and kind of blind eye to it and go, can you check on that person up there or that one, because they just did not have the skills or couldn't calm themselves down, or their anxiety was coming up too much that they couldn't do. And then after you deal with it, I think I'd go down the back, and then that's when it would hit a little bit, but you would be busy. But you needed to, sometimes I go to the toilet and have my personal, because unless I allowed that to pass through, I needed that to pass through to take that breath. And I couldn't be around another crew member who's going, oh, thank God it was you, Cheryl. Like, I'm still like, I'm still up there thinking, how am I going to deal with this passenger on aisle 22 when you've just done it, you've dealt with it.
Like you said, you were pleasing everybody, handling, being responsible. But then when it came for you to be responsible for little Cheryl and big Cheryl, or for you to be responsible for your condition, because many people get into chronic pain and they take responsibility, the pain goes away. So, or the pill works, or the medicine works. It's like something deeper was going on that was accumulating and creating, first of all, everything you described from age 9 was all inflammatory conditions, things. So your brain was creating lots and lots of inflammation every time to protect, because it was like a reaction. And then until you learn to respond to your body with like self-compassion and acceptance, and not be, look, costochondritis is very painful. I know about it. And it can be very painful. And you probably really felt like a victim. So you really made that switch. Switch.
And that was, and you were right. You actually said something there. I meant to mention is everything was inflammatory. So the word itis, sinusitis. I had tinnitus, which is
tinnitus,
costochondritis. Everything was itis, and that was the anger in me, just anger that I just needed to release from child, from anger, from my feelings, angry to myself, angry at other people. But I never thought that I was allowed to do that, because I was the people pleaser. I never looked after myself, and now I've realized that the number one person is me. You know, you've got to, you can't love it.
Okay.
Love yourself.
What does the flight attendant say?
Oh, you always put your oxygen mask on first and take care of yourself before anyone else. And that's pretty much how it has to be. Like that's with the decompression. When a decompression's happening and down would come the oxygen masks, we were always told that you have to look after yourself, except for when you're an emergency landing or something, then it would be you need to take care of the packs before yourself. So, and you do. I mean, one day I had he was about 27. So on the tarmac, you're not allowed mobile phones. So here I am doing the boarding at the rear of the aircraft, and off he's coming, and the ground staff were going, "Excuse me, sir, but you're not allowed on your phone on the tarmac." And he's coming up the stairs. He was that terrified. He was on the phone to his mother. Mum, I can't do this. I can't get on the plane. And I basically had to say, "Can you turn your phone around with because I'm not allowed to touch the phone." I said, "Mum, he's in my hands now. I've got your boy. He'll be okay." I had to stand him next to me until all the passengers were on board. And we normally have the rear 2 rows of the aircraft empty for emergencies. And I went and checked with my manager, and there was no windows at these rear rows for him to see out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So some people, it's the vision out of the plane. Some people don't want to see out of the plane. Some people want to see out of the plane. Some people want the space around them, where he said, "I don't want to see out of the plane." So he had headphones. I said, "Have you got music headsets?" Yes. And I sat him down in the very last row at the closest seat to the aisle. My crew seat was only a couple of meters away, and I was his adopted mother. Oh, he was my adopted son for that whole entire flight. He was fine throughout the whole flight. I checked with him. He said to me, "I normally travel with someone. It's the first time on my own." He didn't want to see out because it was the fear of the fall. Because looking out, they're okay, but it's the looking down. They often think they're going to fall down, and they don't have control. I think it's the control because they can't see in the flight deck. As to, you might get turbulence in the air, and passengers all of a sudden are like hanging on to their seats going, "Oh, this plane's starting to shake and rattle and roll," and we know what's going on, but the first thing they do is turn around to see if we're still smiling. So we're going, "It's okay, it's just a bit of turbulence, but it's getting a bit bumpy."
Let's talk a few minutes about control, because more people die in car accidents than on airplanes. So, but it is a scary thing flying, and it is all about control, isn't it?
Control. It's often, like, I had a fear of flights until long ago, of sitting on an edge of a mountain, till I decided to climb the mountain a couple of months ago, and I thought, I'm going to sit on the edge of this. I went up by myself, because I needed the time with myself. And I looked out. As soon as I looked down, I went, ooh. But as soon as I looked out, I went, you know what? The mind was telling me, now I'll climb and I'll sit on the edge and I have no problem. But people have this control thing on board the plane. You can't control it. You are just sitting. You can't see the driver like in a car. So they have this fear of it's the not knowing what's going on. Yeah. Is the plane going to fall out of the sky? Is this going to happen? Because we did have a little autistic boy. He must have been 12 coming on board the plane one day. I was doing the boarding in the terminal at the time, and he was first to be boarded onto the plane. And his mother said to me, she said, he is so terrified of flying that the plane will fall out of the sky. So I phoned down to the aircraft and I let my cabin manager know. And what happened was just beautiful. Not all pilots will do this, but the pilot walked down the stairs, met him on the tarmac, took him up into the flight deck, took him in the flight deck, told him that he was the pilot and this is where I'm going to sit. This is where my windows are. I can see the whole plane. The little boy sat and coloured in and did not have a problem the whole flight, purely because of the handling and taking that fear of that it's going to fall. So by meeting the pilot, he had a description that's he kind of like a father figure, like it's okay, a figure of authority, that this plane's going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. So it's just every reason or every situation required different answers, and you had no time to think. It was very often very quick. You had to think, and I can't tell you how I come up with that thoughts half the time. It was just
which leads me to think about the pilot. What do you think about this, Rose? The pilot probably was scared to fly when he was a kid. It's like, I think what happens with some of our clients is that they think that there's something's wrong with them. We all have fears. We all go through this. We're all human. We all,
Well, what fear is one of our most important experiences, because it warns us about crossing the road, for example, that you've got to watch out. Because if you've got no fear, like a 2-year-old will just run across the road because they don't understand fear. So it's an important part of our ability to stay alive. But it's when the fear is out of control and it's in us rather than an exterior problem. If it's an exterior problem, we'll deal with it, whether it's good or bad. But when it's interior and you don't know why you've got this fear, and this is what this woman that you were talking about on the plane, her lack of control drew her to just go into collapse. But Cheryl, you've often said about you can spot the people coming onto the plane who you're going to have to follow up. And I love it. And, I think we as passengers don't see the amount of work that the flight attendants do to actually allay our fears.
Well, because once you're in the air at 35,000 feet, the last thing you want is to be on the phone to Medlink with a heart attack or anything else that's happening. I mean, that's the most, for us, that's our fear. That's our fear. So we take care of things on the ground, like, in pushback in that. So when we're doing the demonstration, the safety demo, that's more or less the safety demo has to happen, but that's when we're scoping and we're looking for our ABPs at that point in time. And hopefully we're not all choosing the same one, because often some of the girls would go for the more handsome dudes, but we've often got to pick our ABPs. So they're the ones that if we need an emergency and we have to land, or we're on the ground and we have to open those doors, we need 2 able-bodied passengers to come to those doors and keep order, hopefully help us, get packs off the plane. So you're not going to pick just anybody. So you're also selecting those. And you're also doing this, and you're looking for anyone that's starting to go pale, sweat, excessive sweating, blood noses were another one, because that's a TMS thing that kicks in. Blood noses, just basically this, fidgety. Something's going on, they can't look, and I go, oh, here we go, we've got something happening there. So you're constantly looking as you go, so you can fix it on the ground or get them off the aircraft if you need to. Because we actually had a little boy once, and during that safety demo, he broke out in a rash all of a sudden. And we said, do you wish to continue flying? That's the first question we must ask. And she said no, and he was having an anaphylactic shock. So luckily we were on the ground. He was doing okay because we had EpiPens on board. It was calming Mum down to not escalate his symptoms at the same point in time as well. So you're trying to calm her, keep ourselves calm, because we're thinking, please don't go on to full-blown anaphylactic and we have to pull these EpiPens out.
I want to say two things about you. First of all, you're like a doctor or a nurse. You know all these things. Number two, you are a sensitive human being. Everyone has a sensitive human being. It's like how we use our senses. You may have been more sensitive, less sensitive, whatever. Some of us are we have a thicker skin, a thinner skin. But we do know that people that have some kind of psychosomatic symptoms or mind-body symptoms or get some autoimmune disease, they are people that I always say you're strong and sensitive. So here, what I'm in honor. I'm honoring you, and I'm in awe of you of how you've learned, because you had all these sensitivities, and they were like the characteristic was not balanced. It's almost like there was a part of your characteristic which were against you or not helping you. And what you learned with what Rose and I helped you with, and on your own, with so much work that you did on your own, and how you've been helping other people, is that you begin to take that sensitivity and balance it, kind of apply it to you in a way that you could grow. And Rose, in your work, don't they call this characteristic of sensitivity self-reflection? Talk a little bit about that for a minute.
Well, I don't know if it's self-reflection.
With more personas,
I think it's compassion, maybe.
Compassion,
yeah, compassion. For me, I had many personas. I had many jobs after I left school, many personas, and I really didn't touch on to that until I started doing the therapy, and then I realized that wow, I really didn't allow my inner self of who I truly am in my natural state to ever flow through and be who I truly was until I started doing the therapy, and then obviously practicing the presence and being more conscious is the biggest. It goes hand in hand with the ISTP therapy, is the presence that really brings and allows yourself as your being of who you are to come through and forgive yourself consciously. It's such a big process, and I practice it every day. I still practice it every day, but I wouldn't have known. The thing with the therapy was it telling me what I conditioned, why I reacted this way to certain things that were happening in my life now. That's what I couldn't glue together until Rose is going, she'd throw words in like rejection, learn the right words to throw in. And I realized I did not take rejection very well. From a child it started, because, the vomiting I would do when someone rejected me, even in the mildest way, I'd be throwing up.
Good observation.
Lots of things. And to get to that was the most uncomfortable part with this whole process, and it is uncomfortable, is the fact you have to let these emotions in. You've got to let them in your stomach, and you need to.
And they're not even bad when they get in. That's the beauty about it.
Right.
They're your savior.
Yeah. Exactly. They're not scary. They're not scary. You're okay.
Well, they are scary in as much as they were scary.
Yes.
You see, that's the thing. It's sort of like having a pattern, having a way of looking at the world. If I allow my feelings to come up, my loving feelings, my angry feelings, I'm going to get into trouble. Yeah.
Yes.
So why would I ever let them
Yes.
up? So they're
Yeah.
pushed down. Yeah.
And Cheryl, share with our listeners. We have some people listening. It's like, why is it so hard to be in the present moment? Why are we so happy to be in the future and the past, and so like it's a strange feeling to be in the moment? Tell us about that.
Because for me, it was a conditioning. You
Good.
were that the further you, the longer you're in it. Because I'm 53 years young, you know, and you condition yourself to be in your mind, present, past. If you want fear, just go to the future. If you want to feel depressed, go to your past. But the way because I had not dealt with my past, it was always ruminating. The anger was there. All those emotions was there. That being in the present moment was something, I guess I couldn't be in the present until I dealt with that first. Because your brain is so conditioned, and your mind is like, don't forget, remember this, remember that. But once you release your past and you get through that, when you become present, you're only dealing with the emotions of each day that come through. And this is the beautiful part, because when you get to the present and you know what the emotions are, like if you're anxious, I know I've got two emotions happening. I might be a little bit angry, but I might be a little bit sad about something at the same time. So I can allow that to come through, but I can see it as well. Yeah, you've got this.
You can observe it. Yeah.
Inside.
Look, could I make a clarification for anyone watching that when Cheryl says about being angry, she's not talking about rage. She's talking about a form of being firm about who she is and what she thinks about the situation or about her life or whatever. It's not about shouting. It's not about stamping your feet. It's about being firm. And that's what anger is. Whereas it's a way of actually recognizing that we've been hurt, but it doesn't mean retaliate. And as Cheryl said, you stay in the present moment and you have the right response. So just to sort of clarify, just so that we don't get, because this big mix up, we're told that we shouldn't be angry or we shouldn't think angry thoughts, but that's rage. It's a different matter. Whereas the anger is not something to repress. It's something to acknowledge because it defends us.
Yes.
I just want to do that little.
And we have a right to have an opinion and disagree. I mean, this world would be a different world if we could all agree that we disagree.
Yeah,
and not be attached.
Yes.
We'd be clones, wouldn't we?
Well, you've got the right, and that's right. We are told not to feel our feelings, that you can't be angry, or if you're frustrated at something, people think you're whinging. There's a big difference between whinging about something and being frustrated. But to bring that past through you and to bring those emotions that I've had to bring up, it took the present conscious to do that, to integrate it. Because unless you consciously are there with it, and you're only, if I'm only going to do it with my mind and go, okay, well, you know, I was really pissed off at my mum. Can I say that? You know, for what she did to me all those years ago. If I'm going to fire that from my head like that now, it's not going to fix it. It wasn't until through the ISTP therapy, when I sat with Rose, I sat there and I had to sit with that. And that is a conscious release of that emotion. I am consciously there, and as it went through, the love comes through for those people that you had the for. That's the best part about this, is that you have unconditional love for yourself, but you have love for those who hurt you or you were angry at.
Well, remember that all of this work is not about anger, it's about love.
Yes.
That's all it's about. It's love. And I mean, it's any of these therapies, no matter what you do, it's about finding the love within you for yourself and then radiating it out. Yeah. And unfortunately, when we're hurt, it doesn't always radiate out.
No, but once you get through that, I could just say to anyone, like, who's just playing around with the ideas and knows about TMS, I didn't do journaling. I found journaling very hard when I started the therapy because I think I was firing from my head too much and not from my heart and my soul, which is where it needed to come from. So now I do expressive writing, which is somewhat different to journaling, to get it through, to bring those emotions up and through. But once they're through and you're in touch with your heart now, it's so much better and easier to feel those emotions on a, you don't get angry as much because you can sort of, I don't know, you see people differently, but you feel this love constantly coming past through it. It's a different expression.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
very
actually, if you think about it in a boundary manner, your boundaries are no longer broken, so you're not going to be hurt. So you're not going to need anger as much, if you think about it like that. And as you say, when you see someone who is angry, you see that it's their problem, not yours, don't you?
Yes, you do. You kind of go, they have to deal with their own emotions. I don't need to do that anymore. Whereas before I was dealing with mine or holding mine in to
contain theirs.
To contain theirs.
Oops.
But you've got to get to that stage.
And so Cheryl, it's like I the more that I'm learning as a therapist and a doctor, and the more I do with Rose and learn from her, and the more we, it's about relationships, and we really, it's easy to blame someone because they may be at fault, but we're responsible, and we are the ones that can take care of the interaction and understand
from our point of view.
Yes. So there's always three people involved: you, them, and the relationship. And you're responsible for you and the relationship. And this is where the healing can come. And the people that would get better from reading Dr. Sarno's book, sometimes they get better right away. And a lot of people are like, how can they get better right away? Because they immediately took on the responsibility, which was like empowering. And it can feel like a
Yeah. Well, that's what happened with Cheryl, isn't it? As you started to read the book.
Yes, you get this. You're right, Tovah. It's you empower yourself.
Froze for a minute. There you go.
We have this ability now that I've done the work, and I continue to do this work. We have this ability, this empowering ability in us to fix anything, as long as you stay present and stay true to who you really are. Don't divide yourself. When I started the journey, the one thing for me too is I did not go and see too many people. I needed to be on my own and I didn't tell anyone about TMS, the approach and everything, because it can divide your mind. Right. Because people are going,
of course, you get all sorts of advice.
You get all this advice and they go, really, it's in your head, it's in this. If you're not, until you're at the point, and you intuitively, you will know when you're at that point from your beingness, from being consciously there, that you can be strong enough not to take those ideas or thoughts in, because it's all thoughts. We put all these thoughts in our head and then off we go again and we did it. Whereas you'll go, oh, okay, yeah, they don't believe in it. That's okay. Yeah. And you can flick it off. You get to that point, but until you get to that point, I would, and don't keep questioning yourself. I think if you're questioning yourself, finding information is good about getting knowledge for yourself. But I think when it really hit me was not finding and educating myself, finding and being with the knowledge. When we
explain that. Being with the information. What was that like as opposed to doing?
Like if I said, oh, okay, TMS. Oh, yes. Okay, it's telling me I've got, oh, yes, I'm thinking, I'm angry about something. What can I think about? Is it my child? Oh, is it this? Whereas the knowledge, if you be with it, you sit with it. It goes down into that heart. It goes down into your beingness, down into your soul, because every emotion that you need to pass through must be purified by the heart. And the heart has to be open, and it cannot be open if you are out here in your mind.
In the head.
In the head. You must be down with the being. So when you absorb and you be with that knowledge and that information, you will know. It hits you like you just know. You feel the feeling. You feel tears like you've never felt. You feel that, because often we know they're coming. We get glassy eyes. But the beauty of the tear, when you feel it down in your being,
Your heart.
Feel the heart telling you to release, and it's okay. So you've got to find and be with that knowledge. Don't keep finding and educating. You'll read 100 million books and you're still letting the mind, the ego mind, take control.
Be the boss.
You have to take control back for you. Yeah. And that comes from you taking control. You have to get away from the mind. Yeah. And really the body and the heart controls the mind, because the heart is the first thing before we're born. Our heart is the first thing that ticks.
Yeah,
before the brain.
And you know, if you think about it, our hearts are fully developed from 6 weeks or even less.
Yeah.
You know, but our brain, we need to be 30 before it's sort of fully operating.
Yeah.
So there was probably a lot of forgiveness. I remember you talking about Christmas time and how everybody would put the responsibility on you, and you took it. You were like, yeah, bring it on. I can handle it. And then all of a sudden Christmas coming, like, I am not talking to anyone. The phone's off. And now I bet you during Christmas time coming up, you could be like, I can handle it because I know exactly who I am. I know how to delegate now. And I know how to take care of myself, and also know how to be in a relationship with all these people who probably, we call them like the players, like your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, Jackie, who's here, you know, all these people in your life, and your husband and your beautiful kids. Like your relationship with yourself has become healthy.
Well, yes,
your body has become healthy, and this is what happens.
Well, you can take on the challenge, because we're meant to be challenged. Hey, it's like living in a movie. So you're meant to, I mean, if I went and watched a movie in a theatre and nothing happened, I would walk out, and many other people would within 2 minutes. So in our own lives, we have our own movie. But I'd say I had blockbusters going.
Sequels, part 1, part 2, part 3.
And bring it all on. And now I can sit back and take that challenge on. And I go, well, no, okay, well, you can do this for Christmas. Or I won't have to feel like I've got to, I hurt their feelings. If I don't do it all, I've hurt everyone's feelings. I don't need to do that anymore. Yeah, I can just be in my own little movie. I don't need a blockbuster anymore. my own little movie. So, but it's, you know, it's work. It takes a lot of work. You've got to roll up the sleeves, and you have to make that decision that you're just not going to live in those thoughts, those old conditioned thoughts, those old conditioned patterns and ways. And that takes time, because you have to unlearn it and then retrain. And the unlearning is the release of all those emotions, so you can finally focus on you. Your true soulmate is you. Focus on you and just be who you are. I mean, I just love who I am. I just enjoy being.
You know, Cheryl told us once about having to be the life of the party. And now she can be the life of the party without what would you call it? Without having to be
such a heavy pressure. Talk about costochondritis. Talk about pressure on the rib joint to be the life of the party. That's pressure.
And it's pressure because you felt like you had to. If everyone went silent, you went, oh no, I've got to entertain them. Everyone's bored, or you felt like you were just. But then that was a persona. That was a mask that I built up to, because I was portraying a very flamboyant, happy, which I am a happy, energetic person, but not to the degree that I was putting it out there to everyone, because underneath that was this little 5-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl, going, you know, just crying and screaming. So it's one of those, it's a beautiful thing to, I'm just happy to be at this point with it and to live more consciously and present. And I can honestly say I know I have an open heart. I feel it every day. It's a really awesome feeling.
What happens, Cheryl, when the pain comes, when you get a headache or when you get a nosebleed, or, sinuses come and go because there's seasons, and what happens now when you
Well,
get
so
symptoms?
I still get my brain, because as you're retraining it, the neuro pathways are so conditioned, right? And the body has this memory and it likes to go back to the way it was. And also because I've kind of fired my ego, even though every morning he's back at the desk going, here I am again, and I keep firing him, but he will keep trying. So those neuro pathways are still there. So when I get myself into a situation, obviously the brain goes, do you remember you used to act like this? So it will give me, I might get a bit of a tension headache. It will last 30 seconds. Then because I'm ignoring it, it will go then to another part of my body, to all the areas. It goes to my coccyx, to my feet. My ears may ring, but it might last 5 minutes, and it's like a big circle. It just keeps happening.
Okay. So
But
it sort of wants to see where the weakest link is.
Wants to see if I'm going to react. That's when the presence comes into it and you're aware. So at that point in time when it's presence, you're sitting with your mind and you're watching it go around. But you want to transcend down further, and then that's when it gets down to your beingness in your heart. And once you get from the watcher of that watcher, that's when the real, you can ignore the whole thing, and the brain really knows, and it works more effective, because in that space, when you're in your heart and really in a very conscious thing, there's no pain. If it does come, you find the space. In this space, there's no anger. There's no tears. There's no nothing. You're just in a space, absolute peace. You're in the immensity of your heart. So the brain just then shuts off because it's going, she's not listening. She's not doing this. So it will try. I get mind attacks a lot. And the brain might throw 20 stories at me, trying to just find a way in to activate these old sensations. But I just know what it is.
It's not like you're not in control of those thoughts.
No.
This is something very esoteric. The thoughts, like, are we in control? Are we not? These thoughts come and go, whether they're in control or not. There are thoughts. We're creating them.
Yes.
And that's all they are, is thoughts.
Yeah. And it's energy. If you really want to get into the science of it's energy. And if we hang on to them, I guess they become beliefs, and then they become, they determine our emotions. But it's really, you're very brave. You're very courageous. You're really become the doctor. And, I remember when Danny Fagan was on our show, who had also terrible TMS. She said, when she read the Sarno book, she said, I didn't even need a highlighter because the whole book was for me. I'll never forget that. And
exactly.
She taught a lot about forgiveness. And I want to say that, I've learned a lot, working with Rose and the ICDP work, so much about forgiveness. And, there's a biology of forgiveness and a biology of gratitude. It becomes chemical. And you really have learned to forgive yourself for making a mistake, for messing up, because we get away from the human part of us and think that we just forget away from our soul and our heart, right, Rose?
We're they call it Ubermensch. Ubermensch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And forgiveness is the thing of you forgive yourself more so because for holding all that in. You forgive yourself. You say, I remember saying, I'm so sorry, Cheryl, that I bottled all that in and I made you feel that way for so long, because there was a time I actually video cameraed myself through an old emotion I was bringing up. I videoed myself and I played it back and I saw myself in tears. And then that's when it really hit reality of, I went, if I saw someone look like that on a park bench, I would want to hug them.
Yeah.
And I would want to say, I love you, you are loved, you are worthy. And because I sometimes could not see myself with that pain, and that's when I went, I'm going to video camera myself. And when I video cameraed myself, I just went, I love you. And now I do the mirror work, and I look in the mirror every day, and so much I just go, I give you my love. I give you my love. Yeah, rather than taking something, because taking is a tensions those muscles. When you start to give to yourself, then that's when the real, you just, it's just a overwhelming, beautiful thing. And I mean, I do my meditation and my yoga each day, and I play my poem that I wrote to myself every single day, because it's basically the formula that got me through. And
Amazing.
And stay consciously present as I can, because that's really the key to
that is the key. Yeah.
That is the key.
Yeah.
And it goes together.
And part of that loving yourself, in actual fact, is also about having grief, about maybe not having the parents that you wanted to have, for example. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the parents you've got, it's the parents you want to have. And that's the grief, that you're hanging on, that why didn't I have this? Or why weren't my kids better than they were, or whatever. But in actual fact, in the present moment, all we've got is what we've got. And that's what we've got to work with.
And that is all that's what you've got. And it is a forgiveness of your parents, and now I just see them as they are, and I call them, I think, came up with the quarter cup, because there's 4 of us in the family. We came up with, I got my quarter cup of love, and that quarter cup of love was full.
Wow, that's so clever.
Yes. So I got the quarter cup of love, and it was full. But I out of all of this, I realized, and I hear people talk to their kids now, and I would say to anyone with young children, don't ever say to your child, what are you going to be when you grow up? Because you've already told them, can they not be little Johnny? Can I not be Cheryl? Can I not be? Because you've asked them who they're going to be. Because we
not
put
who
that
they
pressure.
are. Very good.
They are. Yes.
Yeah.
Because you've got to separate those attachments. We attach ourselves to everything.
Yeah. Tovah, could you put what Cheryl has just said on the screen?
Yeah.
That, you know, don't ask your children what they'll be when they grow up. How will we frame it?
That we always say, what do you want? What do you want to be when you grow up? So you've already told them that they're not good enough just to be who they are, who they naturally are in life. Because I had it when I was growing up, and when my children were growing up, the mums would say, so what university are your kids going to? And I said, I don't know about any of that. All I've said to them is, please be happy with your life. Be happy with who you are. But that comes from, because I wanted that my whole life. So I guess I kind of knew with my kids that I dived into that area to that cycle there somehow. But it's the way we choose to talk to ourselves. Like I can say, I love my mum, and not the word but, because but you're putting condition on her. So I'll say, I love my mum, and she can annoy me when she does this. If I said, but she annoys me, did you feel the tension in my voice? Yeah. It's anger. I know I've already set that condition. I'm not accepting of her for the way she is, because now I look at my parents as they come with a journey. They come with a past, and they're just trying to navigate their way through life like I am.
Mm.
Yeah.
So there's a number of people watching, and if anyone has any questions, we're gonna say goodbye in a few minutes. But I guess if like your journey has been so rich with information, and I don't want people to feel like it's not accessible, because it is very accessible. It's really it's a decision to take the fork in the road, or not to to get up, or to say enough, I'm ready, and to ask for help. And so if there was like, how we would go into a test and we write the answers, on our hand. So if there was a few gifts you would share with our listeners, and I'd like to write them down on the feed so people can look at it afterwards. So I do like to say out there to the universe, we are streaming at a different time than our usual, and we're excited. We're excited to once a month. We'll let you know way ahead of time to go live in the evening in Australia and New Zealand time, and to reach out to more people in the different part of the globe that might want to learn about
TMS.
psychosomatic symptoms, TMS, Dr. John Sarno, ISTDP. We really want to educate more people, and we've been getting a lot of feedback from our listeners that, hey, we love your YouTube, but we'd like to be live. We'd like to ask questions. So there'll be a little shift, and we'll be once a month going live at this time. So, but if any listeners out there want to ask Cheryl something, she's here now. You can also reach her through, she's on Facebook. And if anyone has any questions for Rose and I, you can always ask us now, or you can contact us on our Facebook page. Yeah. We have an email, which I'll leave up here, where you can always ask us for support. Rose and I offer a complimentary consultation, because it's an important relationship between your therapist and you.
Okay. This is Margaret. So thank you for that.
Here's a question that I wanted to. So here's some questions. I wanted to give people time to feel, because it's not always easy. I think maybe you think you're going to be online, but no, it's just your sentence. So we won't stream you up. So Margaret, nice to meet you, Margaret. Here's her question. Let's show it. If there was one book on TMS to read, which would be your choice?
Oh, one book on TMS. It would be Dr. Sarno's The Mind Body Prescription. Obviously, is definitely that was it. That was it for me. But then there's the journey to get yourself, help you get through. If there was a book to follow whilst you're going on this sort of thing, it would be probably The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer would be
The Untethered.
Yeah.
Tethered.
Untethered Soul.
Tethered.
The Untethered Soul.
Beautiful.
He's
Michael who? Michael who, dear?
Michael Singer. So Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul.
Wow.
That would be my first book. After I knew, I was definitely sure that it's definitely TMS. This is when I started to read this book, and then that takes you into the journey of finding yourself. I guess for me, the one thing I really want to leave with people is sit with yourself, ask yourself, be with yourself, close your eyes. The mind goes shopping. Don't go shopping. Don't listen to any thoughts that pop in your head when you do this. Don't follow any thoughts. You don't need to be anywhere. Any pain that comes up at that time, forget about it. Just really go into your stomach and feel your breathing and say, have I suffered enough? Because there will be your answer. And then that's when you know you need to follow that path.
Wow. Thanks, Cheryl.
Because that's where it comes from. You say, have I suffered enough? There's no cheat sheet with this. See, a lot of people I see, they go, it's just TMS. If you're saying it's just TMS, you're calling it another symptom. It's because of TMS that you have these symptoms. Don't cross it over. It's TMS and call it like a symptom, because it's not. It is why you have these sensations and feelings. And that's what you really need to deep into your soul and say, have I suffered? Have I suffered enough? Feel it, hear it. Your voice will talk to you. And then that's when you've really got to dig deep, and you have to do the work, roll up the sleeves and get those tears up.
And you're not alone, right? You're not alone. We are all human. Your friend Jackie wanted to thank you for passing on Dr. Sarno's book and for helping her.
Yes, I gave her the Untethered Soul Journey, and I think I gave her the Power of Now book and that one. And yes, she's on her journey, and she said, oh, I'll give them back to you, or do you want some money? And I said, no, I like to say it's the gift that keeps on giving, because Rose and Tovah, I believe you know what I mean by that. It is the gift that keeps on giving. That
it sure
was
is.
placed, and now it's the gift to her. And I said, you will pass it to somebody one day, and that gift just keeps going.
So we're going to stay a few more minutes because it's now almost 7:30 in America, and more people are on the show. So no, I wanted to say that, and Cheryl, it's like the journey doesn't begin when the healing begins. The journey, talk more about that. Maybe Rose can make a comment about that as well.
You get through these emotions and you get through this healing, and then
come closer to the microphone.
To get that better life, to stay in that better life, is ask yourself too, the last time, and because I know each and every listener out there would have done this, because I have you ever been at a party, a barbecue somewhere, and you felt yourself talk from here, and you felt yourself say something just to please the other person, or just to feel that they love you because you needed loving for reasons from your childhood? Ask yourself that question, and then say to yourself, where am I? Where am I? Because that's when you know the mask needs to come off, and TMS healing really comes in when you find who you really are, because the layers and the masks have to come off to get to who you really are. Yeah,
it's really true. Yeah. It's really true.
It's so true. And then the presence, when you start to really hit presence, that's the most beautiful thing, because I thought I'm more in love with my husband than the day I married him, because I see his soul.
That's another movie. That's a movie. Yeah. That's a blockbuster.
And then you will finally see your children through their eyes. Through their eyes. When this healing comes through and you start to really become present, you actually don't get offended. Like sometimes I used to go, oh, my daughter spoke to me that way, and I'd be hurting. But now I know when she's firing off from her head and when her soul and heart's talking to me. So that's the stage you get to. And when you get to that is when you go, it doesn't upset you, because you know they're just firing off. You know, they'll get over that in a minute, because you know from the soul where they're really talking from themselves, because, you know, everyone's carrying stuff.
That's right.
Everyone has upstairs voices, and sometimes there can be a few people living upstairs, and sometimes almost giving them the remote control to the TV, or this voice in your head is almost telling you, hey, make a cup of coffee, and you're thinking, who are these people in my house? You need to get clear this house and become empty, so there's only you there, and then you're at peace.
Oh, Cheryl, you're amazing.
And it's an incredible journey to finally see people like my best friend Jackie, who's watching this show. Hi, Jackie. I don't think she'll mind me saying this, but when I did this journey and she came to me in March, she suffers some knee and some back pain. It was funny. We hadn't seen each other for a while. And when she came, it's like she needed to be there. She needed to feel, and I knew she was on this journey with me. So you can see it, you can feel it in people, and to be able to pass that gift on to her was absolutely amazing. But she was ready for it. So, you know, it didn't divide my mind on my journey or anything like that. So it really is a beautiful thing to pass it on. But it was the first time, that's what the story I was getting to is with Rose. I think I told you in one of my therapy sessions, Jackie, I looked at like my mother. I'd known her since I was 12 or 13 years old. And I would go to her and I said to her, I'm sure I would look like this 5-year-old girl because I had all these issues. The day I saw her in March of this year, I said, I finally get to see you as my best friend. As an adult. I didn't need her as a child. Yeah, I wasn't a scared little girl because all that stuff's gone. And that was really beautiful. Thank you. I thank you every day for all that those sessions.
Fascinating.
That's what we do.
You know,
right, Rose?
What
I
was
was still
that?
only
Go
thinking
ahead,
about.
Rose.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, could I just re what's the word? I just want to mention that Cheryl said a little while ago, 5 minutes or 10 minutes ago, about saying enough is enough. Do you remember we were saying that? Okay. So when you say enough is enough, say also, how would you put it? I've grieved long enough. I've grieved long enough, and
I've
I'm
suffered.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've yes, you say I've suffered. I've yeah, you go, I've suffered. I have suffered enough suffering, because that's what you're doing. You've just got pain body. You're you're just staying in that suffering inside your body, and your body is.
And this is the power of the mind. Remember when you mentioned about your husband?
Yes.
I mean, Rose and I have met amazing people in this year and a half. And there was a woman who had MS, diagnosed MS. And at some point she got off the bed. She was in bed. She goes, it's enough.
Yes.
She's now walking.
Yes.
You know, she might have plaques in her brain. She might have MS, but she is functioning because she has healed the part of her body that put her in the bed. And this is, if anyone's interested in this story, I'll show the video. The point is that she said she was more grateful rather than walking was that her husband stayed with her. So the power of the relationship in healing yourself and the people around you, the power that can happen from that healing, it's very real, because it is about pain is about a relationship with yourself, relationship with your body. What does pain do, Rose? It scares you. It's like it's like my mortality.
Yeah. And also you can't think. When you've got pain, you can't think beyond it. And you see, that's why the breath work is so lovely. When people do have pain, even if it's chronic and consistent pain, breathing actually drops it. You know, you might only breathe for 10 minutes or so, but that 10 minutes will actually give you enough courage or whatever to sort of say enough is enough. Yeah.
The body will follow the breath. Yes. The body will all follow the breath. And if you just put your hand on your heart, there's an exercise I did through this whole thing, and I put my hand on my heart, and I would do it for 5 minutes. When you wake up in the morning, don't go to your phone. Don't read emails. You've already got enough emails, and that as soon as you wake up, your mind's already putting yesterday, yesteryears, 2 years, 3 years. They're already in your house. You don't want any more voices in your head. Forget your phone. Put your hand on your heart and be grateful for something. And the one thing I used to say was, I'm breathing. The external world, everything's external. But when you come back to the breath, you go, even with the uncertainty and with the world, life is really good, because life is you. Life is your breath.
Now, I want to explain. I just want to explain, because it might be, oh, well, that's wooey. That's wooey. You're doing yoga and you're like a guru. You're like the Dalai Lama on the mountain. What about the breath?
Okay,
so I want to bring it down to the science.
Yeah.
Let's bring it down to the science. I mean, Rose is 40 years of doing what she's doing, and my 30. This is science. When we breathe, it calms our nervous system. It affects the vagus nerve, which affects every organ in the body. It affects your fight or flight. So this is chemical. We're not saying to breathe so you can we're saying breathing because it calms you down. And this is what's so powerful about the science.
I think we know that, but we don't actually utilize it. But, you know, if you remember, there's a Jewish prayer that we should all say, and that is when we thank God for our soul coming back to our bodies when we wake up. What's it called, Tovah? I can't remember.
It's the Odi Ani. It's like where you
can you say
bring
it?
yourself
Can you
back to
say
your soul. It's in Hebrew. It's like, I want to thank God for bringing my soul back every morning into my body so I can greet the day, and I want to thank God for putting me to sleep and waking me up.
Yeah. And follow the breath. The breath will follow the body, and the breath calms you down. So when you're really anxious, and I've had those, I know what it's like. And the breath stops the thought, because the fear starts to feed on the fear. And once the fear comes in, you go, oh my God, I'm actually dying. And then all of a sudden you put that in your head.
The diaphragm tightens. The diaphragm tightens up. And that's why you got your costo, isn't it? From the
Yes, it goes really tight and it tightens. And then my parasympathetic nerve and my sympathetic nerve are all woo, and it's just not happening. But you can, if you just do the breathing does help. And also there's a couple of breaths we don't realize when we yawn. Sometimes yawning is not because we're tired. It's your brain's way of saying, reset your mind.
I need more air. I need more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when you do a yawn, and I think we've all been somewhere and we've gone, oh, I feel a yawn coming in. Don't shove it down. Make it bigger. Just go.
Especially if you're bored.
You sigh, and you go like that. If you sigh and give that a go, you'll find that all that stuff in your head is gone. It resets your brain. It resets the mind. It shuts it. And it's a reset. So sometimes I think our bodies tell us to yawn and make it a big one. If someone gets offended, too bad.
Right. And Rose taught us both this, because Rose is an amazing teacher, that if I'm taking a deep breath or sighing, it's not a bad thing. It's a sign that I'm feeling some anxiety, and to just recognize it.
And reset your mind. You've got to reset. Like, even if you just do a every 5 minutes, and you're going, now what was I thinking? Because after you yawn, have you ever yawned and you go, now what were we talking about? Because your mind is reset from the breath, and that's your body's natural way of saying, can you just stop?
That's more
and
like
take a deep
Jackie's just made me yawn. You know, we have a number of people on the show, so I just hate to say goodbye, but what do you think? Anybody have any other questions out there in virtual land? Though we love having you. You're like very close to us in this feed. I feel you all, some new faces, some people from Australia, because it's just nighttime in Australia, not 5 a.m. in the morning. Rose,
when no one's watching.
So anyway, Cheryl, I always say we'll have to have you back, part 2. Episode 2 of The Life of Cheryl LaRue. Such a beautiful name. It's such a stage name. Cheryl LaRue. Such a beautiful name. And you're in Queensland, aren't you? Where are you? You're not near Rose in Melbourne. You're further up or further north.
Rose is in lockdown. I think Rose is still in lockdown down there in Queensland, and we're up in Victoria, and we're up in the sunny Queensland. So we've been pretty lucky, I guess, with COVID so far up here. But yeah, Rose is probably a 2.5 hour flight away, or 24 hours driving by road.
Yeah, 24 hours driving, and 2.5. By the time you land, it's nearly 2.5 hours. Yeah, I think it's 2 hours, but flying time, but 2.5 hours till you get off.
I wish someday I could come see you in Australia and be driving up with Rose to come visit you. That's the dream, to us all to be together. And your healing has really been enlightening and just lights up not only the internet, but just the world. And I'm just blessed and privileged to be here with Rose and to have worked with you and to continue and to have you come and share your TMS story. And I watched the movie All the Rage, which is a wonderful movie about Dr. Sarno, the other night with a friend of mine who hadn't seen it. I was just bawling my eyes out. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful world of healing, and getting sick is not the end of the world. It's just a process, and we can heal. And
I think all I'd say, that one thing I wanted to say to people, because it used to go through my mind, and I know it's very strong and it can actually stop you going further into healing, is the last thing you want to say to yourself is, oh, how come this happened to me? How come it didn't happen to anyone else? Have a look around next time you have that thought. Nearly everyone is suffering some sort of pain somewhere, or they've had chronic pain, and it's coming and going Everyone's suffering. It's just their cup inside is not full. Yours is full, and
overflowing.
Count it as a blessing. You've got this time now to heal, because, I mean, once you heal, then you've got that empowering experience to help your family members, because I think we all know someone else that we love that could also use this TMS healing. And with the process of the ISTP therapy, I just want to say I did it with these two beautiful ladies here to the audience. If you're sitting on the fence, therapy for me, it's not a sales pitch. A therapy for me, I think, have a think about it. There's no cheat sheet. There's no thinking, can I just deal with now? Don't be in denial of what happened in your past, because that's part of the shame and the guilt that needs to come up. So look at it carefully. And if you've been doing this for a while and you're writing and you're writing and you're writing and you don't know, you don't need to write your life story. You only need to get to the bits that are important to get to this healing path. And these two ladies will bring that to the table and will know exactly where to go with you, as they did with me.
Oh, you're lovely.
You'll be thankful.
Oh,
I wanted to mention
thanks, Cheryl.
Aura has a beautiful, before you say goodnight, Rose, because it is getting late for you, is Aura Ursula. Amazing, thank you. I wonder about identifying with the suffering, meaning to say, I've suffered enough. Is there a place to externalize and call it the suffering that puts the adult self in charge, rather than the suffering being in charge? Whoa.
Yeah.
I missed that last bit I can only sort of see part there of the question that she had up there.
Because you have your phone on. Rose, do you want to read it again too? Because it's a very, very
amazing,
deep.
thank you. I wonder about identifying with the suffering, meaning to say, I've suffered enough. Is there a place to externalize and call it the suffering? That puts that adult self in charge, rather than suffering being in charge. The suffering. If you call it the suffering, not my suffering, you're externalizing it. But in actual fact, if you think about it, it's more than that, because it's about your heart. So it's internal, but yes, externalizing it gives you space. Just like the breath gives you space, externalizing the suffering has come to me again. You know, my back is aching, I'm suffering, or the suffering has come, but what's the burden that I'm carrying? It gives you space when you put
And
it
not
as
to
the
blame
suffering.
yourself. Not to blame yourself. There's
So
no blame,
thanks,
Rose.
Aura. That's very good.
Yeah. Beautiful, Aura.
That is beautiful, because each body symptom, and I've had a lot of them as the ones that watch the
You're
start
an
of the show.
expert. I didn't realize how many you had. I don't think there's a space in you that hasn't had a problem.
I think I had conjunctivitis in my eyes many times, and I know that was because I didn't want to see what I was seeing in my life. So as you come through the therapy, I think the best part that I learned through Rose and Tovah was identifying, because we can say we've got back pain, but why? Because each symptom and sensation that I had to do with a certain emotion.
Yes.
Or something from the past. So knee pain is not so broad into one thing. It can be in particularly going for one section of that emotion, and it could be a very big part. So it was understanding for me why I got back pain here, and why I understand now why I got sinusitis. I know what disturbs it now, so I can brush it aside. But before, I had no idea. I was just a lost sheep walking around in the paddock.
And Rose and Cheryl, isn't it true that, like in what Aura's saying, it's almost that we believe if we blame something, we're going to get out of it faster, as opposed to taking responsibility. Because blaming, is kind of like a defense that can take us so far. But then if we take responsibility for, like, the adult, which what Aura mentioned, you framed it very well.
And don't blame yourself. And And the one thing you can't say is, I cannot wait to be pain-free. Don't say that, because that you're already saying, you're already telling the message to your body that you don't want to be here now to fix it. So it's thinking, well, she doesn't want to be here. She just wants to get to the end. So we're going to give her more pain because we're saying we want you to be here now in your body and we need you to listen. So
We
don't
need you to
just
listen.
go, yeah. You can say,
Yeah.
I look forward to the day that I'm pain-free, and you will be. That's a different way of putting it. You've got to be careful how you speak. And I found that I look forward to things now, not I cannot wait, because I'm talking, it's a different language when you're talking from the heart to the mind. You've got to play its game.
Yeah.
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 And
And
you
be
know,
in control. Yeah.
yeah. The other thing to remember too is, if you have any type of therapy, it's not going to be fixed in 5 minutes. It's
No.
you know it takes a long time, to get all these symptoms and get all this stuff going on, and then people read the book and then expect to be healed. Well, some people are, but many aren't. So it's important to just see that whatever happened is sort of ingrained, I suppose. So we have to clean out the wound and open up the heart so that the wound is healed. So don't expect that read the book and you'll be right, but read the book so you get the understanding or the insight, as Cheryl said, that that's where the problem lies, in your heart, and it's hurting.
And once the beliefs there, with when you start the healing, once I started the therapy, for those who want to know, so my pain level was a 15 out of 10. After the first session, I dropped down to a 10 out of 10, and I know 10 out of 10 is still pretty bad, but considering it was beyond bearable to go from a 15 to a 10. As I progressed to the next 2 therapy sessions, I was down to a 4 and a 5. It is a massive, because all of a sudden you're being heard. Someone's really listening to what you have to say and said, it's okay for you to feel that way. You don't have to feel shame and guilt. So it's like a big door and it just pours out, but to be heard. But the pain level drops quite significantly, and then it will kind of just, that's when you've got to keep doing the work, but it will get you down to that bearable stage, to a bearable you can
But
get
also
through life.
also remember that sometimes the pain comes back because it wants to warn you that your feelings are coming up. And often I find that people will that horrible pain will ease, the initial pain will ease, but then there's little spikes until the spikes drop down because they're not needed anymore. So as soon as you want to say, I feel angry about whatever, then the pain shoots up to protect you. Or I feel sad. And it's often about sadness when the pain, we talk about anger all the time, but I notice over the years that it's sadness. And it's the sadness that's been repressed. It's the sadness that's been put down. And then when the sadness comes up, it's sort of caught, trapped with anger and with grief. And it's sort of like a knot. So it needs to be eased back. And often you can't do it on your own. So just sharing that.
It bottles, the tears bottle. So that's what was causing my sinusitis. So I had it really bad, and I worked it out as I released my tears through therapy. I called it dysniffisness. So because you get all the sniffles, and all this congestion was there because I had mental congestion, a blockage of tears. And as I released those tears, off they would come. But that would be coming from talk to the hand. I was dismissed. Every time I would go to explain my emotions, even later on in life, you got this. You're not allowed to feel. You're not allowed to hear your emotions. So then come the stuffiness in my face. And I realize where it all is now with the sinusitis. And I haven't had a bout of sinusitis since I've done my therapy. I have not had coccyx pain since my therapy. I don't have gastritis or any of those sorts of things. I just have a little bits of my bursitis is gone. I'm water skiing again. I'm doing all that, so it's absolutely remarkable.
Cheryl, before you go, could you just tell everyone about the day you decided to get on those skis again? Because you were told by the doctor that to go home and rest for 8 weeks, and
I would never again.
And you were captain of a volleyball team or some kind of.
So I used to coach netball. I was a netballer, and I would coach netball. But I was told I would never. Those were her words. You will never water ski again. You will never do much sport again. Your muscles are torn to shreds. When the pain started to subside and I went out in the boats, I think my husband and my son were a little bit nervous, and they went, oh, maybe it's too soon. And I said, no, I can do whatever I want. And I was like a swan. I have never been up on the water ski. And I didn't think I could even get up, but I get up and the pull on, I don't know if anyone's water skied, but the pull on your muscles, everything is working at 100%. And I was aching all over with all that pain that I had got through. And to be able to get up on that water ski, I didn't care if I lasted 60 seconds and fell in the water. I just wanted to get up and to prove to myself. And I remember looking up at the sky going, thank you, Dr. Sarno. And him, because I remember he'd be going, Cheryl, there'd be nothing wrong with you. You get up on that ski if you want to get up on that ski. And I have not been to my doctor's office. Since I'd started therapy in September last year. They've sent me multiple messages this year, emails going, you know, you can have your 5 physio sessions for free. And I don't need it. I don't need physio. I don't need chiro. I've never needed antidepressant tablets that they wanted to put me on. I didn't go on painkillers. I've done this absolutely on my own, totally on my own. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here. Continue to water ski.
Brave soul, one brave soul. Another episode. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, Cheryl, thank you. We didn't expect, did we, Tovah, that you know that this conversation would end up sort of this way. It's just so lovely.
Really, really, just inspiring. You know, our show is about inspiring and educating. It's not like, you know, the work is hard. But it is inspiring education, and it can be done from A to Z. No matter what symptom you have, no matter where you are in your journey, the psychological, you know, part of all disease and sickness and chronic pain is our responsibility, and we can heal from whatever. I don't want to go on and on and on because I get all emotional about it.
You can heal. Before starting the therapy, I remember going to my husband and I said to him, I want to do this therapy from this book. And he actually got to release a bit of his guilt because there were some people that we knew and they kept asking about me and saying, what's wrong with her? And after I said to him, I want to do this therapy because I believe that this is what's going on. It's a mind-body thing. And he was just like, and I went, well, that was easy telling him. He said, I feel so relieved. I said, why is that? He said, because he said, Michael and his wife were asking about you the other day. And I said, there's nothing wrong with her. I think it's in her head. And I went, okay. He said, I've watched you for years vomit and make yourself ill from reacting and how I reacted to situations in my life. So he kind of knew that there was something more at play here. So he was pretty happy.
It just means you're a strong and sensitive person that needs to just open up. It doesn't need anything. Strong, sensitive people. We are not weak people when we are.
Takes more
that's
strength.
The problem. That's the problem. We're not weak people because we can tolerate years of pain.
Oh,
good point.
Well, I thought I would be right after having childbirth until I got the costochondritis, and then I went, wow, that really threw me through the loop. But I can tell anybody that, we were all told as children, don't feel, you're not allowed to feel your emotions. You need to be strong. You have to be strong by not feeling your emotions. It takes more strength to sit there and feel that in your stomach and feel it come up and release.
True.
And that's strength, is to feel it and say, no, I'm going to stop. I always say that to my family now. I went, no, I'm going to stop and I'm going to feel this because I need to feel this emotion. I need to empty this out and take charge and say, it's okay that I need to feel that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank
All
you.
right. Well, good night, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good night. If anyone's ever got questions for me, I'm more than welcome in any way I can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cheryl LaRue.
Yes.
Cheryl LaRue. I love that name, Cheryl LaRue. All right, wonderful. So we're going to say good night to you in Australia. Good morning to America. Good evening. Good Sarayim Tov, which is good afternoon. It's late afternoon in Israel. We love being global and teaching and helping people and inspiring and educating. So wonderful. See you guys next week. We'll be back next week. You can go on our roundtable to see what time, where we're going live from. Cheryl, we'll see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, Rose. Sleep well. Love you guys. God bless. Everybody take good care. Bye.
Bye.